Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025.
Senators challenge Kennedy's vaccine role. Two U.S. Senators, Ron Wyden and Elizabeth Warren, are urging Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to step back from vaccine-related matters if he becomes the head of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. They are concerned about his controversial views on vaccine safety and potential financial issues linked to his ties with the Los Angeles law firm, Wisner-Baum, which handles drug-related harm cases. Kennedy could earn 10% of fees from cases he refers, raising serious ethical questions. The senators want him to promise not to engage in vaccine lawsuits for at least 4 years after leaving office. At 70, Kennedy has been a vocal critic of vaccines and founded the anti-vaccine group Children's Health Defense. His nomination has sparked heated discussions, especially among Republican senators who may hold swing votes. The Senate Finance Committee is set to vote on his nomination this week. If confirmed, Kennedy would manage over $3 trillion in healthcare spending, impacting programs like Medicare and Medicaid that serve nearly half of all Americans. The senators emphasize that Kennedy's financial interests could heavily influence public health decisions. What does this mean for vaccine policy in America? This ongoing debate highlights the deep divide in American society regarding vaccines and public health.
China Evergrande's electric vehicle unit faces financial challenges. China Evergrande new energy vehicle is caught in a financial storm, struggling to attract investors amid a serious cash flow problem. This crisis has stalled operations and delayed crucial audits for 2024. Based in Tianjin, China, the company has faced difficulties since a debt crisis began in 2021, affecting not only its future but also the electric vehicle market, where it aimed to compete with giants like Tesla. With overwhelming debt and falling sales, Evergrande is in a tough spot. Efforts to restructure its finances have hit roadblocks, forcing the electric vehicle unit to cut costs and reduce its workforce. Once valued higher than Ford, the company's ongoing troubles have dimmed its growth prospects. The challenges faced by Evergrande's EV unit reflect broader economic issues in China, leaving investors and stakeholders anxiously watching the unfolding situation. What does this mean for the future of electric vehicles in China?
Trump administration's plan to cut education funding. The Trump administration is moving forward with plans to cut funding for the U.S. Department of Education, with an official announcement expected soon. Reports suggest that Donald Trump's advisors are considering presidential decisions to dismantle the department, a move supported by billionaire Elon Musk and his allies. This initiative aims to reduce the size of the federal government and eliminate what they view as unnecessary spending. U.S. officials are discussing an order that would remove functions from the Education Department that aren't required by law, and possibly shift some responsibilities to other departments. Many Republicans have criticized the department, particularly over former President Joe Biden's policies like student loan forgiveness and diversity programs. Recently, Trump has issued orders targeting diversity and inclusion efforts across the federal government. Reports indicate that numerous Education Department employees received letters placing them on temporary leave. The potential consequences of defunding the Education Department could drastically cut resources for schools and students, impacting federal education programs and stirring political debates as elections approach. What does this mean for the future of education in America?
UN reports alarming increase in killings of Ukrainian soldiers. The United Nations has released shocking reports about a troubling rise in the killing of Ukrainian soldiers captured by Russian forces. Since August 2024, there have been 79 recorded killings across 24 incidents, revealing serious breaches of laws meant to protect soldiers. Many who surrendered were reportedly shot on the spot, with witnesses describing the tragic deaths of unarmed and injured personnel. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha has urgently called for international action, condemning these horrific acts and demanding accountability for those responsible. The Russian Defense Ministry has not yet responded to these claims. The UN has gathered compelling video and photographic evidence from both sides, further substantiating these alarming reports. Additionally, There's mention of a 2024 incident where a wounded Russian soldier was killed by Ukrainian forces, which is now under investigation. This ongoing conflict continues to lead to significant humanitarian crises and violations of international law. As the situation unfolds, the international community remains vigilant. What does this mean for the future of justice and accountability?
Trump's proposal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals. U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that Ukraine provide rare earth minerals to the United States in exchange for nearly $300 billion in financial aid during its ongoing struggle with Russia. This proposal underscores the strategic importance of Ukraine's resources, which are vital for making technologies like electric vehicles and smartphones. Currently, the U.S. has only one rare earth mine and relies heavily on imports, especially from China, the world's largest producer. By securing these minerals from Ukraine, the U.S. could strengthen its relationship with the country and reduce dependence on China. Ukraine, located in Eastern Europe, has valuable deposits of minerals like lithium and uranium, although they are not the largest in the world. This proposal comes amid a conflict that escalated in 2014 with Russia's annexation of Crimea and intensified in 2022. The outcome could significantly impact both nations, especially regarding their economic stability and national security.
Judge blocks Trump administration's funding freeze. A U.S. district judge, Loren Alikhan, has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's plan to freeze federal loans and grants. This decision, made on February 3, 2025, comes as concerns grow that the freeze could severely harm organizations that rely on federal support. Judge Alikhan pointed out that the proposed freeze likely overstepped Congress's authority over government spending. Advocacy groups highlighted the potential disaster for public services, prompting the judge's ruling. While the Trump administration argued that the freeze was necessary for compliance with executive orders on immigration, climate change, and diversity, Judge Alikhan stressed that the policy seemed random and could disrupt essential services. The Office of Management and Budget had initially issued a memo about the freeze, but later withdrew it. Despite this, the judge deemed a temporary restraining order essential due to ongoing funding concerns. This ruling is crucial, potentially affecting up to $3 trillion in federal funding and reflecting a larger struggle between the executive branch and Congress. Democratic attorneys general from 22 states and the District of Columbia are also challenging the freeze, as the outcome could set important precedents for future executive orders.
Arab nations reject U.S. plan for Palestinian displacement. 5 Arab foreign ministers and a senior Palestinian official have sent a powerful letter to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, firmly opposing President Donald Trump's proposal to displace Palestinians from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. This suggestion has raised serious alarms among Palestinian leaders and Arab nations, who fear it could lead to the forced removal of people from their homes. The letter stresses that any rebuilding efforts in Gaza must involve working directly with the Palestinian people, ensuring they have control over the process with support from the international community. The ongoing conflict has resulted in a heartbreaking humanitarian disaster, with over 47,000 Palestinians reported killed due to Israeli military actions. The violence intensified on October 7, 2023, when Hamas militants attacked Israel, resulting in the deaths of 1,200 Israelis and around 250 hostages taken. Recent discussions among Arab leaders in Cairo reflect a united front against the U.S. proposal. As the situation remains delicate, the world continues to watch closely, hoping for a lasting ceasefire.
Scott Bessent's first day as acting consumer finance watchdog. Scott Bessent has officially taken over as the acting consumer finance watchdog for the United States as of February 3, 2025. On his first day, he made a dramatic move by stopping nearly all operations at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, including investigations and public communications. This decision aligns with Trump's goals and marks a significant shift in regulatory policy that could reduce oversight in the financial sector. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a key figure in creating the CFPB, criticized Bessent's actions, warning that this pause in enforcement could lead to harmful corporate behavior. She argued that this move contradicts President Trump's claims of wanting to lower costs for families, as it undermines efforts to provide financial relief to working people. As this situation unfolds, what does it mean for consumers? The implications of these changes could increase risks for everyday people while potentially benefiting corporations through less scrutiny.
Shein's IPO faces Uyghur rights challenge. Shein, the fast fashion giant, is set to list its shares on the London Stock Exchange, but it's facing a major obstacle from the advocacy group Stop Uyghur Genocide. This group plans to seek a legal review if the Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA, approves Shein's initial public offering. They allege that Shein's supply chain in China includes cotton sourced through forced labor involving Uyghur individuals. Xinjiang, the region in question, produces about 80% of China's cotton, making it vital for many global apparel brands. Reports from the U.S. government and various rights organizations highlight serious human rights abuses against Uyghurs, including detention in internment camps, which China denies. In response, Shein claims it strictly prohibits forced labor and aims to comply with the U.S. Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which bans imports from Xinjiang. However, the company hasn't clarified if these restrictions apply to its products sold in the UK. As this situation unfolds, the actions of Shein and the FCA will be closely watched by investors and human rights advocates alike. What does this mean for the future of fast fashion?
U.S. Task Force to Address Antisemitism in Schools. On February 3, 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice announced a new task force aimed at tackling antisemitism in schools and universities. This initiative comes in response to a troubling rise in anti-Semitic incidents, particularly after the October 2023 attacks by Hamas, which led to widespread pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses. The Department of Education is investigating 5 universities for allegations of anti-Semitic bullying, including Columbia University and Northwestern University. Former President Donald Trump, who issued an executive order for this task force, stressed the importance of addressing antisemitism and warned that resident aliens involved in pro-jihadist protests could face deportation. Edward Ahmed Mitchell, Deputy Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, expressed concerns that this task force might misuse federal power to limit free speech among students advocating for Palestinian rights. This task force will coordinate efforts with the Departments of Education and Health and Human Services, highlighting the ongoing struggle against antisemitism in the U.S. and raising important questions about balancing civil rights with free speech on campuses.
Reform UK Party gains popularity in polls. A recent YouGov poll reveals that Nigel Farage's Reform UK Party has surged ahead of the Labour Party, becoming the most popular political party in the United Kingdom. If a general election were held tomorrow, 25% of British voters would choose Reform UK, while Labour would receive 24% and the Conservative Party 21%. This shift reflects growing discontent with Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government, which is facing challenges just months into its term. The poll, which surveyed 2,465 people, shows Reform UK gaining 2 points since the last survey, while Labour has dropped 3. Farage, a prominent advocate for Brexit, has called for reduced immigration and lower taxes, resonating with voters amid rising frustrations. The UK's first-past-the-post electoral system often leads to discrepancies between votes and seats won. As public sentiment shifts, the potential impact on government policies regarding immigration and taxation could significantly affect citizens and businesses alike.
Ukraine reunites 12 children taken by Russia. Ukraine has successfully brought back 12 children who were taken against their will during the ongoing conflict that intensified with Russia's invasion in February 2022. Andriy Yermak, Chief of Staff to President Volodymyr Zelensky, shared this heartening news via the Telegram app. This effort is part of a vital program called Bring Kids Back UA, aimed at reuniting abducted children with their families. Among those returned are a 16-year-old girl who lost her mother, a 17-year-old boy who was summoned to join the Russian army, and an 8-year-old girl. Ukraine claims that over 19,500 children have been taken to Russia or occupied territories without parental consent, labeling these actions as war crimes and potential genocide. Since the war began, Ukraine has managed to bring back a total of 388 children. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Russian officials, including Maria Lvova-Belova, the Commissioner for Children, and President Vladimir Putin, in connection with these abductions. Russia has dismissed these warrants as outrageous. The ongoing conflict continues to devastate families and children in Ukraine, underscoring the urgent need for international support to protect those caught in this crisis. That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.